Hi. Well, good evening, folks. I always find that this iPhone recording video, whenever it's quite sunny, makes me look false or something. Definitely makes me look grayer than I am. Or maybe that's just denial. Anyway, welcome back. Tuesday evening. Been working the last couple of days, but as I think I said in last week's Moments, this is the sort of more settled weather coming through. Now, settled also means pretty bland from a sky perspective, and above me right now there is not a cloud to be had. A little bit of cloud over to the west, a little bit over to the east, but certainly nothing above me. So I thought I would come back up to the Causeway, and I just wanted to check out what the situation is in regards to the thrift and the bloom, just to see how much that is developed. Missed it completely last year because we were being very good and staying very local, i.e. not driving anywhere, so missed out on all of that. But just thought I'd come up today and this evening. Not going to kind of record an actual vlog from up here, just going to take a bit of a dander, going to walk up the cliff path for a while, and then probably end up down maybe on the actual causeway itself for sunset. But as I said, it's blue sky, so it's very much a recce evening. A couple of hours before sunset, so plenty of time to just meander. So let's grab our stuff and head out and do that. Meander. So, as I thought, a little bit early, which is good. Rather be early than late. And I'm glad that kind of it is a bit early, because obviously with the next couple of days, I think we're just going to get very clear skies. You really want a big April showery, stormy sort of night to move through. So, but always good to do a little bit of recce, especially up around here. And where I'm standing right now, I've shot here before. I'm sure I'll link something up there. But the Fulmer's nest below here, and on a bit of a breezy night like tonight, they're just fantastic to watch. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go any further along, I don't think, because I think all of the thrift will be sort of at a similar stage. So I'll probably hang out here for 15 minutes or so and just watch the Fulmer's, and then maybe start to make my way maybe down to the stones. As I say, it's going to be a very clear night, so today might just have been about a little bit of a dander, which, as you know, is better than sitting in the house. Although I did buy Sainsbury's jam donuts earlier on. They are the best jam donuts out there. You know, you can spend a couple of quid on a jam donut from a artisan shop. Sainsbury's, 5 for 95p or something. Get in, see that? See the Fulmer? Woo! Let's go look at them for a while. Wish I had a jam donut. So we're actually getting, I'm not sure you're going to be able to make this out, but we're actually starting to get a few more clouds. My wrist is going crazy because it looks like the dominoes are falling in the European Super League. Chelsea, Man City, and I'm sure by the time I get back to the car, some of the other English clubs will have pulled out of that harebrained idea. Anyway, I digress. So we're starting to get a few more clouds. So I've actually stayed up on the path, the cliff path, and I might head back to the little area where the fulmars were and maybe set up. I've shot it a number of times before, but I've come out, so maybe it is time to get the big camera out. But yeah, we're starting to get a few more clouds develop. Now it's still an hour or so away from sunset, so those clouds could disappear, but just beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But we're back to quite breezy conditions, so probably not going to be able to get the old drone up, but hey. I've always thought there's a little square to be had down here. I've spoken about this before, how I have a bit of an issue with shooting sort of a landscape on one side and then a gap on the other, which of course is what you're faced with quite often looking here into the causeway. And what I think maybe works is just a little sort of square image down there. Never managed to capture something that I'm 100% happy with, mind you. Looks like some sort of nuclear thing going off behind me there with the sun. But yeah, what a pleasant night. Right, might wander on for another little bit and then maybe go and set up a shot. No, so there's a couple up there, but out kind of in the direction that I probably would have been shooting. Most of those clouds seem to be dissipating again, so I am going to make my way down to the stones. I haven't been down here. Well, we came over about a month ago, and actually in the middle of the afternoon we had the whole place to ourselves. It was fantastic. But now, so I'll go down to the stones and hang out there probably till sunset. Might get a little shot in, but beautiful evening. And it's been a worthwhile exercise coming out, because I can now see that we're a couple of weeks away from the thrift. And it actually reminds me, just up above where I live, up at Black Rock, there's some lovely thrift up there as well that, again, I was a little bit late for last year, so another one to go and check on tomorrow. Right, let's make our way down to the stones. So I don't think I'm going to get the camera out. The conditions are just they're going to be quite nice, but certainly not photographically. Lots of other photographers down here, as you always find. So I'm back on thrift watch again. You can sometimes get some nice thrift growing between the main causeway stones that with a wide angle, and obviously some interest in the clouds can actually make something work. So I think I'm just going to use this time just to dander around the stones and see whether there's any thrift growing in an opportune location. Beautiful evening though, really nice. Nice to just sit and take it in. Good to be back on the causeway steps actually. I don't shoot this area that often, but I think I'll make an exception. Oh, another photographer coming. 2 photographers coming, they're all coming. So just making my way back up to the car. It's about 10 minutes before sunset. A couple of little wafty clouds in the sky, but nothing to write home about. Had a little bit of fun with the wide angle on the iPhone, getting up close and personal with some thrift. But definitely a worthwhile little exercise, not least exercise, although I think I've said this before, I am walking on average on a 5-hour shift about 6 miles. And of course, as I work longer hours, those miles go up. I think my record so far has been about 9 miles in one shift. So that was a nice wee sort of probably another 3-mile dander this evening. Beautiful. Right, well, off tomorrow. Thinking it's going to be another bit of a recce. Not able to, we still have, I was going to say Boris. We don't have Boris the crazy foster dog. We have Beans the lovable but rather boring foster dog. Doesn't do a lot. Sleeps, poops, eats, repeat. Now Nicola's going out for a sunrise dip tomorrow. So I can't really leave Beans, unfortunately. He's a very don't leave me dog. So But then I think what we're going to do is after lunch we're going to take the van out for the day, and I'm going to use that opportunity maybe to revisit the little garlic forest, but in the evening time. Learned a lot of lessons from that first little jaunt out, not least I'm not very good at woodland photography. So we're just going to spend most of the afternoon tomorrow hopefully out in the van, and as always we'll bring you along for the ride. Right, up the hill, in the car, home. And would it be wrong of me to have a jam donut for supper? Let's do it. Well, good evening, and as I said yesterday, we are out in the van, been out in the van all afternoon, just down at the beach, just chilling out. Some gorgeous, I love this beach, some beautiful sand patterns, especially on a clear blue sky, so, which unfortunately we don't seem to have a lot of now. Now, all we need is little gaps, because what I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to go back into the little wild garlic forest and see how the garlic's coming along, but more importantly, see whether sort of evening light is perhaps going to work a little bit better. I think it will, perhaps, but just going to make some tea right now, and yeah, it's so nice to be back in the van, it really is. And as I think I said in last week's moments, I just cannot wait till we're travelling again. Right, tea duties. Well, no light, as I thought, down in the garlic. It's, as you may have seen before, it's down a little valley, so no light, and no real sort of decent light at sunrise either. So what I'm really looking for there is maybe some overcast conditions, but with some light breaking through, maybe some reflective light coming down. Obviously mist would be wonderful, but I've never seen mist in here. But the garlic's about a week away still, maybe 10 days, so, but I'll definitely come back over again. And because I know it's not really a sunrise or sunset shoot, maybe come over later in the day when the sun's maybe a bit higher, but we have some broken cloud that can maybe reflect some light in. So just go take a wander now over to Missedon. Don't think I'll shoot anything, even though I've got the old camera on the back. Can you see that? Second evening in a row where I've carried this around and not actually made any images. But just lovely to be out. Beautiful. Oh, the blossom here. It's gorgeous. Right, mosey on. So just up at Missedon now at sunset. I'll talk a little bit about the sunset shoot. Definitely is a better place to shoot at sunset, just because you get a lot of that illumination along the outer wall, and of course your carcass isn't going to be in the way, casting any shadows. But absolutely, once again, it's a blue sky kind of day, so it's just nice to be out for a bit of a dander, a bit of exercise. So we shall wander on. Well, good morning again. So, partly cloudy, they said. Now there is some wafty high-level cloud over to the east. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any to the west, but as that sun gets a little bit higher below the horizon, if that makes sense, some of the higher clouds up here might start to reveal themselves. That can sometimes happen. You can't sort of make them out if they're very wafty. But of course, high cloud, especially if there's a gap on the horizon at sunrise, can be our friend. So working today, so again, very local. And I'm just going to head up Black Rock and see what the Thrift is doing after I spoke about it at the Causeway. Now, I'm wondering, is this going to be the third day in a row that I'm going to take my camera bag for a dander and not actually get it out of the bag? But that's all part of for me, that's all part of just the wonderful appeal of landscape photography, being outside in nature first and foremost. So, got my coffee. It's about 5:20 in the morning. Standing in below a street light or I guess the prom light to get some ambient light on my face, because I know this iPhone does struggle in very low light conditions. But we'll take a wander up. We'll see what's going on, and heck, even if it's not worth photographing, it's worthwhile sitting there watching sunrise, having a coffee. let's go for a dander. So I think I can already see a couple of problems. One, yeah, the thrift in this part, even though up at the Causeway it looks like it's maybe about a week, 10 days away. I reckon it's a little bit later here. Maybe not, I'll just have to keep up checking. Two, yeah, there's not a cloud. I mean, there is now a contrail in the sky. Hey, planes. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anything out there that's going to catch. And actually a third problem, I'm wondering how much of a thicker bank of cloud there is out to the east. Now down below me here, I've spotted something. See this big rock here? Obviously on one side of it with a more sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? A more accommodating sunrise. One side of that rock will actually take on some lovely colour. And I quite like as well how there's a sort of a little fissure through it as well. Some other cracks, and then of course beyond the rock you have the sort of tide sort of coming into the little shallow there. So that potentially could work. Now even as I'm standing here, I can sense that makes me sound like some kind of Miyagi. I can sense that the sun is definitely has been more blocked out. Even though we're still probably 20 minutes away from sunrise, is more blocked out than it was before. The ambient light levels, the colour shift. So I think, at least initial, goodness me, two planes in the sky, lockdown's over. Everyone's escaping. Or maybe they're all coming back from somewhere before curfew. Concentrate, Nigel. With the sunrise, let me just darken that a little bit. Being obliterated, I think it's coming up over here somewhere. Could be wrong about that, mind you. I think once it rises up, we still have got, and one of the benefits that we could have with that haze, while we might not get it initially at sunrise or a few minutes after, as it's rising up through that, we might just get some nice soft light for a little bit longer than we would have normally. So, but I'm going to see whether I can work out something here. I'm going to sort of give up on the thrift for now, and see whether I can work on a composition down with this rock. I'm going to be standing up quite tall. It doesn't look like, well, I probably could clamber down, but I think there's probably a way to maybe make something work standing up here. So let's give that a go. So no matter how much I try, I just can't seem to get that composition to work horizontally in the 3x2, in the 1x1 or the 16x9, or vertical. It's just not. I really do think there is an image there, but just trying to kind of piece it together. I really want that sort of line sort of cutting through. I think it's the top half of the frame with the waves in it. Now, at the moment with the ambient light and the sort of f-stop and everything that I'm getting, I am getting a slightly longer shutter speed. I think about a half a second. So I'm gonna wait till that. Now that sun, I don't know if we'll see too much there, but bit of an apocalypse now type sunrise, and it's disappearing in behind more clouds, so we're just not getting any glow. So, but I do think there is something down there. So, but this is one of the things I love about it. Just luckily it was only a coffee cup. Second time that's happened this morning. Second time I almost had a kitten. Let's go back to seeing whether we can make this work, but challenging. So even though that sun is now getting a little bit more visible, still not really casting any light, and I really struggled with that scene back there, but it's one to come back to, because I think with slightly better light you might even be able to isolate the rock just by itself without any of the ocean behind it. Well, I think I'm going to wander back to the flat now, grab myself a coffee and get myself ready for the dream factory. You know, one of the things that, in fact, just looking down here, pair of eiders, male and female, one of the things that I love to do when I'm out with a camera or just out and about is just sit and just really take in the environment, because you look out especially when you're at the ocean, you look out and you think to yourself, well, there's not a lot going on out there. But then whenever you just allow yourself to you get your eyes attuned, a couple of black guillemots, as I say, a couple of eiders, we've got the fulmars, and we've got the herring gulls. Saw a couple of shags, a cormorant, and right out at sea saw my first, saw my first one a couple of days ago, but saw another couple of gannets as well. Almost got hit in the head by a starling, or a flock of starlings, and a couple of rock pipits as well, bimbling around. So again, it's just surrounded by nature. A couple of starlings there just flying through. Beautiful. Right guys, well, what day is today? Thursday. Off tomorrow. Might do another little recce tomorrow to another little woodland, little bluebell woodland tomorrow maybe, just to see how those bad boys are coming along. It's going to be interesting to see how I can sort of photograph that garlic. As I say, I think it's going to be something that's sort of a softer light, sort of subdued morning. I think it's going to be, or even middle of the day, but subdued light. I think that's probably going to be the best time to do it, and I reckon that's going to be within the next week. And this time next week, we will be able to get away and stay overnight in the van. Ooh. Cue excited face. Right, coffee time. Catch up tomorrow.